Ayo Dosunmu makes a very, very interesting comparison when talking about Matas Buzelis, but is he that far off? Now, if y'all rocking with the channel, man, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. This is the only channel talking Bulls. Our Bulls fans talk, so make sure that you get in tune with us, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always. Ayo Dosunmu came out and made a very interesting comparison for Matas Buzelis. And of course, it's to a Hall of Fame first ballot player who's an absolute monster still in this league right now. What he said was, Matas is a hard worker and a tremendous teammate, a tremendous worker, I should say. He loves the work. I have high praise for him, high expectations for him. I'm seeing him in person, him getting stronger. He's starting to realize how strong he is and how he's able to dominate. I know Giannis is a Hall of Famer, top 20, top 30 player all time, but Matas has a chance to really dominate the game like that because he's 6'10", 6'11", and he continues to get stronger, continues to get in the weight room. He's only going to get bigger, so I think he's going to continue to grow gradually, like in the terms of being able to finish, rebound, him being able to just dominate the game, and that's definitely going to show. So to start the show off the day, question on the table, can Matas Buzelis turn into a guy or a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo? And I think here's the thing that really sparks the conversation even further is the numbers are not all that far off until you start to look at some of those post all-star break numbers. When you look at the rookie numbers for Matas 8.6 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 1 assist per game. Giannis came in his rookie year at 6.8 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 4.4, don't want to short him there, and 1.9 assists per game. And here's where I think this gets interesting, though. When you start to look at the post all-star numbers, as great as Giannis has become, he wasn't always that guy in his rookie year. And when you look at those rookie numbers post all-star break, you have to give the edge to what we saw from Matas Buzelis. Post all-star break for Giannis, he did get up to 8.2 points per game, 4.6 rebounds. He was getting that in 25.4 minutes per game. Matas post all-star break, 27.1 minutes per game, 12.9 points per game, 4.9 rebounds, and that was in, like I said, 27.1 minutes per game. So there is a conversation, I guess, to be had around, if you're looking at the rookie numbers, technically Matas Buzelis is a little bit ahead of Giannis Antetokounmpo, but when you're talking about player for player, I don't know if he's going to end up becoming Giannis. I don't know if he's going to become one of the greatest basketball players I've ever seen attack the rim. I don't know if he's going to become one of the most dominant hoopers we've ever seen attack the rim. Here's what I do know, though, and I think it goes back to what Ayo Dosunmu was saying in this, that he's about the work. He's about getting better. He has a desire to be great, and because of that, he puts in the work behind the scenes when people aren't watching. He's in the weight room. He's lifting. He's doing all the things that he needs to do to improve his game for what his game is right now. Does that mean that he's going to become one of the greatest basketball players of all time? No, but it means he has the right mindset to possibly become one of those top guys that we have ever seen. It means he has the right mindset to become, at a minimum, one of the top guys in the NBA today. Right? Forget about history, right? We got to go years for history to start to take effect. But if you're talking about one of those guys who could become one of the top guys in the NBA today, Matas Buzelis absolutely has that right mindset of, hey, I got to work on my game. I got to get better. I commended him for this last season when he had a great game. The Bulls end up losing by 2. He came out of that game and basically went, those numbers don't matter. It is what it is. We didn't win the game. That's the kind of thought process you want to see a young player have. And I would tell you that that's very similar to how people talked about Giannis after he started to get himself going in that second year. More the second year, I think, than the first, just because you probably didn't see it as much. But when Giannis locked in, when Giannis got in the gym, the jump that he took from year to year, I think you did start to see, okay, this young man actually has something. But it wasn't until about year 3 or 4 where he really turned into that guy. I think it will be interesting to see how quickly Matas can get there. I think you saw with the second half of last season that he is somebody who absolutely could be in the conversation for being a number 1 option on the team, because when you gave him more shots, when you gave him more opportunity, he did more with it and continued to do that as Billy Donovan gave him more throughout the season. But is there a cap on what he can get to? Is there a limit on what he can get to? Or is this truly the guy who should have gone number 1 overall, who many people talked about him possibly going number 1 overall, that the Bulls kind of lucked into him falling to you in the draft? Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. What do you think that Matas Buzelis can be throughout his career? Do you think that he can reach the heights of a Giannis Antetokounmpo, or do you feel like, yeah, maybe he's a solid role player piece on this team? Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. The one thing that I will say, though, is Giannis has earned himself the opportunity to get more shots on this team, which I do think is interesting with the recent report that we heard about about Jonathan Kuminga and his attachment to the Bulls. Want to talk about that as well, as we heard this from Michael Scotto from Hoops Hype. He said the Chicago Bulls and Miami Heat are 2 teams to monitor as potential sign and trade candidates for Kuminga. Lee's sources told Hoops Hype, with that in mind, the Warriors have also not ruled out the possibility of retaining Kuminga, per sources. And listen, this is one for me that I think is the ultimate question of the offseason, because the one thing I will say is Jonathan Kuminga is probably one of the better players that is on the market that could be acquired here. I mean, we saw the trade for Desmond Bane. What would a trade actually cost now? There's some question marks there, but is it worth it for the Bulls to bring Kuminga in, with him now being linked to the Chicago Bulls? And here's the part, when you're having that conversation about Giannis, is it worth it to then go get Jonathan Kuminga, who you know is going to take some shots away, who you know is going to, now he doesn't need a ton of shots, but who you know is going to want to come in and have a role of being more of the number 1 piece on a team? If you feel like Giannis can be anywhere near what we're talking about with, I'm sorry, I said Giannis. If you feel like Matas can become anywhere near what we're talking about with a Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't think you bring anybody in that could possibly disrupt that. Now, we won't know that, right? That's something that will be talked about inside the building. That's something that will be talked about by the people that are watching him, that this young man can take that next step. But the reports that we're hearing from the offseason around Matas, I think do put you in a position where Jonathan Kuminga may just not be the right piece for you moving forward. Now, I don't know if that means that, you know, you start to look elsewhere. Again, the Kobe White situation now is even more interesting. Does he stick around because of the Desmond Bane trade that we saw happen out in Orlando? But to me, there's so much that you have to look at throughout this season. There's so much that you have to look at heading into this season if you're the Chicago Bulls, where you have to say, we don't want to disrupt the progress that we're seeing from our young pieces. And I do think that you saw that in year 1 of Matas Buzelis as a rookie. I do think that a guy like Jonathan Kuminga comes in and maybe he can play a role here. But if you're bringing Kuminga in, bring him in for the role that he should be in anyway. If he's going to be on a team, he's going to be the number 1 guy. He's going to put up numbers. He's going to be one of those guys who is 25 points per game a night, who's giving you, I don't know, 4 or 5 rebounds. He's not a big rebounder. He's more of a scorer than anything else. But let him be that number 1 guy that everybody feels like he can be if he goes to the team. You pair that up with Josh Giddey, and that's what you have moving forward. Now, is that the move that I want to see the Bulls make? Personally, no. I love everything about Kuminga, but I don't think that he fits in with what you're doing with Josh Giddey here. The likelihood is that you're going to re-sign Josh Giddey, and I think that that is a combination with him and Matas that is working really well. You probably want to keep that combination going. I think even with having Kobe White, having the opportunity to possibly keep him on the team and or move him, either way, you have that scorer on the team as well to pair up with those two. So you've kind of got this nice situation where there's almost an opportunity here of, if one of these young guys can take a leap, and I understand, listen, as a Bulls fan, that is a massive if. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. You know what I mean? I love the offseason talk about Matas possibly being Giannis, but I don't know if we're anywhere near feeling that good about what we saw out of Matas in this first season. I think he could be a really good player, phenomenally good. I don't know if he could be Giannis, right? But if you feel like that opportunity is there, I don't think you do a ton of things to change the makeup of this team. I don't think that you do a ton, right? A Kobe White trade would be big, but I don't think it drastically changes this team because I can slot players in there who can go out there and be spot-up shooters and can score. Kobe White really is not a spot-up shooter. Kobe White needs the ball in his hand to go out there and dominate. Sounds like the Bulls are probably looking to get Giannis. I keep saying Giannis. Sounds like the Bulls, I'm trying to speak it into existence. Sounds like the Bulls are trying to do everything that they can to get Matas more shots. And to me, bringing in Jonathan Kuminga just doesn't fit with that scenario at all. It doesn't fit in with how Billy Donovan wants to run this team. And I think there's a conversation, unless this is the only way in my mind that you could do something like this. If you bring Jonathan Kuminga in and you make him the 4, and you're rolling into this season, and this does not make sense to me for them to do this. But at 6'10", 6'11", which Matas is coming in there, if you bring Kuminga in at 6'7" and say, you're the power forward, Matas, we're going to play you at the 5, and we're going to figure out the 3, and you've got Giddey, you've got Kobe, you've got Matas at the 5, you've got Kuminga at the 4. I don't even know how that works, again, trying to get Matas more shots, but it's the only way that I see a Kuminga lineup making sense. Now, you probably would also have to send some pieces out in this deal. Could that be Kobe? Could that be Ayo? Whoever it is that fits in to make some of that money work along with draft capital. But there's not a lot of sense that bringing Jonathan Kuminga to this team makes if you're not going to make him the main option. We'll see if that is a plan for the Chicago Bulls moving forward. I think it would be an interesting plan if the Bulls were to do something like that. But like I said, we'll see what happens in the long run. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Would you want Jonathan Kuminga on this team? What is a lineup that to you makes sense for Kuminga with Matas Buzelis in it? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down to talk with you guys as well. As always, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. See Red Nation, stand up. Peace.